All right, now let's modify this page and add a link to each movie so we can navigate and see its details. So here on index.html, this is where we're rendering our movies. Here's our first column where we render the movie title. Let's add an HTML anchor here. So here we set href to /movies/ Now we want to render the ID of the movie dynamically. So once again, we use double curly braces, movie.id. And then we move movie.title right in between the anchor tags. Save the changes. Back here. Let's go to the movies page, refresh. So now we have the links here, beautiful. We can click and see the detail for each movie. However, while this implementation works, it's not the best way to reference URLs. Because earlier I told you that tomorrow it is possible that we change all these URLs to something like this. Old system/movies. Now technically we should not change URLs because a URL is a contract of an application. So if we change URLs, any applications that depend on those URLs are going to break. But, the real world is unpredictable. So sometimes these things happen. So let me show you a better way to reference a URL. Back to our URLs module. Earlier, we assigned a name to each URL. Now we can reference these URLs using their names. So back in index.html, let's delete what we have in the href attribute. Here, we're going to use the URL template tag. So we add curly braces, % and type URL. This is our URL template tag. With this tag, we can get an actual URL like this. So first we pass the name of our URL, in this case, movies_detail. And then optionally, we can pass any parameters if they exist. In this case, we want to pass movie.id. Save the changes. Back to the movies page, refresh. We still get the same result, beautiful. Now let's take this to the next level. Back to the URLs module. Earlier, I told you that it's a good practice to prefix all these names with the name of our app, like movies underline. We did that so Django wouldn't accidentally pick a URL with the same name from a different app, just like how we namespaced our views. So this was a good practice. However, let me show you a better way. Here we can set a known variable, app_name, to the name of this app, let's say movies. Django is aware of this variable name. Now, when we set this app name here, we don't have to repeat movies underline in multiple places. Now here we have only 2 URL patterns. It's not a big deal, but if you have a large number of URLs, this is going to get a little bit messy. So let's delete this and also here. Now we go back to our index.html and instead of using an underline, we use a colon. When Django sees this, it knows that we're talking about the movies app, and in that app, we should have a URL name detail. But this will only work if we set the app name variable to movies. So as you learn about Django, you realize that there are various ways to write less code. But of course, that means there are a lot of conventions that you have to learn about. So for sure, there is a learning curve at the beginning, but once you learn these conventions, you can quickly build applications and deliver a lot in less time.